my name is Hasupal Singh, and we from Group 14 will be discussing about the Lucena position. So, me personally, I will be taking you through the introduction of Lucena position. So, what is Lucena position and how it looks like? Let's start with some introduction and how it occurs. So, Lucena position is one of the most famous and important positions in chess endgame theory, where one side has a rook and a pawn and the defender has a rook, as shown on the chessboard right here. It is fundamental in the rook and pawn versus rook endgame. If the side with the pawn can reach till this position, they can possibly win the game. So that's like a little introduction about what Lucena position is, and now let's talk about how it arises. So basically, Lucena position arises when one side is on the verge of promoting its pawn. So in this case, the white pawn at b7 is just one box away from being promoted. But unfortunately, it's being blocked by its own king at box b8. That is the defining feature of a Lucena position. Your own king is preventing the pawn from being promoted. This might not look like a problem, but the king has nowhere to go, as you can see. The king can't move to a7 or a8 due to the black rook at a1, and he can't move to c7 and c8 due to the black king at d7. Basically, white is definitely winning if white knows the correct technique to end the game. It's impossible for black to win this game, especially in this position, but black can try to get a draw with the correct technique as well. So in conclusion, the Lucena position is a win for the stronger side, in this case the white team, with the pawn at b7. This is a very important position because there are many rook endgames where the stronger side will be able to advance their pawn but will be blocked by their own king. So close but yet so far.
So this is a Lucena position where the white pawn cannot be promoted because the white king is blocking the way. The white king cannot move to a7 or a8 square because the black rook is at a1 square. The white king cannot move to c7 or c8 square as well because the black king is covering both squares. So for white to win in this Lucena position, white has to know the correct technique so that it won't end up as a draw. So firstly, for white has to deliver a check. And in this case, there are two ways of delivering a check, where the white can move its rook to c7 to check the black king, or move to d2 to check the black king. Well, in this case, the rook, it's better to check the black king at d2 because if the rook check at c7, the black king can just simply move to d8 and still covering both c7 and c8 square, and the white king still cannot get away from the queening square. So the better move is to move the rook to d2 and check the black king. Well, now the black king is being checked, so it must move away. For the black king, it has several possible moves to do, and black would like to move the king to c6 because it's closer to the pawn and can capture the pawn when it is unprotected. But well, this move is not really a good move because moving from d7 to c6 means that black king has given up the c8 square, where the white king can just move to c8 square and the pawn can be safely promoted into queen, which is not what black wants. So the king moving to c6 is not really a good move. So now the black king can only go to the e file. So let's say black king move to e7. So as soon as the black king moves to the e file, the next step for white is to move the rook to d4 square. This move is to make a bridge. It's like a preparation step for you to make a bridge later. And you might think, what is a bridge and how to make a bridge? And I will explain that later. And you might say that, why move the rook to d4? I can move the rook to d5. Well, sure, you can move the rook to d5, but it is really not a good move because it is quite near to the black king. As when you move the rook from d2 to d5, the black king will just move its king to e6 and attack your rook. So to protect your rook, you need to move away your rook again, and just means everything starts all over again. So it's much safer to put your rook at d4. So after you move the rook to d4, and now it's the black's turn. Actually, there's nothing much to do for black, and all black has to do is just to give a waiting move. I'll just move the rook to a2. So now you can move out your king from the queening square. You just move out and say that, oh, it's nothing different. The black rook can just check the white king at c2. Okay, just check, and the white king will move to b6 and continue checking at e2 and move to c6 to protect the pawn. Continue checking at c2 and move to b5. It's like a zigzag move. Continue checking at b2. So now the purpose of moving the rook to d4 is revealed. Now you move your rook to b4, and this is called a bridge, where all the pieces are lined up in the same file. In this case, lined up at the b file. And when this bridge is formed, your pawn can be safely promoted into queen without anything stopping it. So you can just say that, oh, maybe the black rook capture the white rook. Yeah, it's possible. Then your white king can just capture the black rook. Yeah, there's not much different. And you now move your black king to chase the pawn. Well, the king is just one square too far away from the pawn, and it just can't stop the pawn to be promoted into the queen. And yeah, white wins. So this is how white should play in this Lucena position in order to win.
Hi, my name is Ibrahim. So today I want to share to you guys about the Lucena position. So in this position, you can see that the white rook is at c2, black rook is at a1, black king is at b7, white king is at b8, and white pawn is at b7. So from here, white rook will go to d2, check for the black king. The black king will travel to e6, and from here, white rook will go to d4. So we can create a bridge, and then black king will go to e5. That can try to hit the white rook. From here, white rook will go to b4, and then from here, the white rook at b4, black king will go to b6, and from here white king will go to 8, and black rook will go to c1 to check for white king. Then white king, from here white king can run to d8 so that he can hide behind the black king. White rook cannot go here since he will get eaten by the pawn, and then white rook will go to d1. After white rook goes to d1, this pawn will be able to go to b8 in order to upgrade the queen. From here, we can clearly see that we proceed to the game, and white will win this game.
here we will show on how do we let the black get a draw. Okay, at least a draw. As we are checking, as shown by my friend just now, as we are checking the king, out of nowhere there will be a bridge form, and it will be harder for the rook to eat a pawn. So now the next move is you move the king. The king will move from e7 to e6. Okay, so now as you can see, since the white king can't move forward and the white rook can't make the bridge at b4 and b5, the next move is that the white will want to make the bridge at b5 and b6 respectively. So now the rook will move from d4 to d5. So now as you can see, this king is overpowered, where it has to take care of the pawn and also the rook. This gives an opportunity for the king to eat the pawn. So now as you can see, this position, it's easier for the black now. It can either be a stalemate or either side can win easily now.